Alright, so I told you guys I'd be working on this DT50. So this is kind of the condition it's in right now. It's pretty rough. Like I said, it got stolen. I started disassembling it and then kind of lost interest. But I got to get her done. So anyway, here's all the parts. I took off it already. The gas tank's kind of just sitting on there. Yeah. Put that to the side. And then I got a seat. Yeah, also just kind of sitting on there, I guess. So this is kind of what you're left with. So what am I going to do here? I don't think I want to pull the engine out. Everything looks pretty good. I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it really well. Take the airbox out, block the carb. Need to get a new shift fork or a Kickstarter, I mean. And then all this stuff needs to get painted. So the original color was yellow. So we gotta paint that, paint the exhaust, make it all look nice. Really shine up the rims. And then just make sure that we can get her back to running operation here. I'm just taking the airbox off here and look at this cute little filter, this air filter. It's just a little tiny thing, eh? And then look at the carb. It's just tiny. Like, my finger. Crazy. Anyway. Yeah, all these lines are like, 40 years old. They all kind of they're just super brittle. They don't even want to come off. The other thing that's weird is that the whole bike is like held together with Phillips head screws. Like everywhere you look. So that's weird. But anyway. Alright guys, so for today the plan is we're going to take this tank, these fenders, the light, a couple other parts. We're going to strip it down and hopefully get it ready for paint tomorrow. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so like after an hour of sanding this thing, it looks pretty decent, but I'm not happy with the amount of paint that actually came off of it. So I went out and bought some heavy duty paint stripper. So apparently you just pour this stuff on and this paint's gonna just flake right off. So I was thinking for a big piece like this, it's probably not a huge deal, but for these like smaller pieces here that are a little more intricate, I think the paint stripper is really going to help. Alright guys, so this is pretty much the finished product. Now I gotta clean these edges up just a little bit. but they're pretty smooth. Like you can hardly feel the transition from metal to paint. I sanded them pretty good. What I did was I stripped it with this paint thinner or paint stripper. It worked amazing. It was like super strong, and it just like peeled off. Anyway, and then after that I went over it with 100, and then 220, and then 400. And then what I'm going to do is, so I got some sandable primer here. I'm going to spray her down, and then that'll clean up all the little scratch marks that are still left in there. Sand it again with 400, and then again with I think 1,000. And then at that point I'm going to put some more primer on, make sure everything's good, and then we can go ahead and put our base coat on. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, well, I got some paint curing over there, is I'm going to try and clean this frame up a little bit. You can see there's a lot of like oil and it's just dirty. Originally I was going to take the engine out and paint the whole frame, but I decided I'm not going to do that. The frame actually looks in pretty good shape. You know, there's just a couple rust spots like there, which is a battery box, but that's really only about it. So I think, yeah, all I'm going to do, clean it up, shine the rims up a little bit, and then yeah, we're going to paint these side covers. I'm just going to scuff them up and put them, give them a new shot of paint, and that'll be it. Okay, so I got some bar saw in here, and then I got a rag and a toothbrush, and then this is a towel brush we're going to use to clean the frame up. I got this thing all stripped. I'm not too worried about this. I'm just gonna paint over that. It gets hidden by the seat anyway. And then the other underside too, doesn't matter, nobody will see that. But anyway, so it's just hanging here in my garage, and I've cleaned it up with some wax and grease remover. And what I'll do is I'm just gonna spray it real quick with some high fill primer, and then let it dry and hopefully sand it down tomorrow. Let me just start this off by saying I'm no professional with bodywork or paint. Okay, so I think I put it on thick enough. It's all covered anyway. Covered enough that I can sand it and get all the little imperfections out of it. So that's gonna be perfect. And obviously it's not perfect yet. I still gotta sand it with like 600 grit and stuff like that. But you know, at least you don't see any more of the yellow. It's a good primer to bond to the bare metal and stuff. So. Alright guys, so while I was painting it, I noticed all these like little fine, I don't know if you can see that, like these really little fine hair looking things. I don't know. Anyway, all over this thing, and maybe I just didn't notice on the tank because you know it's pretty much just a flat surface, but this one looks pretty weird. Hopefully all this stuff kind of comes out of here when we sand it down. We're in a mask for this one. All right, so it's the next day now, and this thing has dried overnight, and you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the little furry things are still there. So maybe if I lift it up, yeah, you can see it there. What I'm going to do is I have some 600 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to go over this real quick. I'm just going to scuff it up, just very, very lightly, and just take out the imperfections and stuff. And then we'll wipe it down and we'll be ready for a base coat tomorrow. Sanding's all done. Got a light here too so you can kind of see, but I managed to get rid of all the I don't know what you call them, the fur bunny thingies, fuzz balls. I think all it was is the high-rise primer, like the sandable primer. It's got some fluff on it because it ended up being on like every corner and edge on the tank and everything too. But right now you can see this thing is like buttery smooth. It's almost shiny already. It's really good. So these things originally were like a, I don't know, like a mustard yellow. And I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up. So here's the difference. I got two different paints. Well, they're both sun yellow. This is just a Krylon one, and this is an actual automotive paint. So I think I like the color. If the camera picks this up, this is just a little bit darker, more mustardy. So I think what I'm going to do is use this as essentially like a primer, base coat, and then use the automotive paint to really get the color out. Because I cleaned them out of this kind, and they only have these little dinky bottles, spray paint cans, and they only had 3 of them. So I cleaned them out. So I don't think I'll have enough to do, the fenders, the tank, the heat shield, the oil tank, and then that other fender with just 3 bottles. So I got another 3 of these. We'll use that as a base coat, and then we'll just put a final coat with this one just to give it that more mustardy color. So I'm going to start on this piece because it's kind of it's on the side of the bike, and if something happens, like I mess it up, or I'm just figuring out the paint tends to run or something, it's going to be on this piece, and I'll be able to sand it and fix it without having it on like the main tank, right? So the fuel tank, that's just the main thing you look at. So anyway. Okay, so this is after 3 coats of the Krylon. Looks pretty good. I went a little thick on that last coat, which is kind of what you're supposed to do. You kind of go light on the first coat and then go heavier and heavier. But anyway, I'm gonna put one more base coat, and it's gonna be with this stuff. So, I mean, if you just look at it, I don't know if the video you can see it, but the cap is just a hair darker than what's on there now. That's kind of what I'm going for. So, if we end up putting this on there and there's absolutely no difference, then maybe we won't bother for the rest of the pieces. But all right, I'm not sure if the camera is gonna pick this up, but man, this is like the perfect color. It's just a shade darker, and it's awesome. So yeah, I'm really happy with the color. Hopefully it doesn't dry out and become pretty light. But yeah, this was awesome. As soon as you spray it on, you could see it was like instantly darker, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So, there's still, you can kind of see it there, I think. Anyway, there's still a couple like fuzz bunnies. I'm just gonna have to sand that out with like 1000 grit or something. before I put the clear coat on. But yeah, for the color wise, it's almost a perfect match. I'm really happy. So the other thing I want to mention too is, so if you look at the style for the tip, this one's like it's got a cantilever, and it's just so much easier to use. Like I could spray this thing all day long. With this can here, man, my hand was getting sore already, and I only did one coat. So this is the good stuff here. This kind of nozzle, and you can even adjust the fan spray pattern if you turn that little white thing. Pretty cool.